Hi, in this short video, I want to take you through the process that an apprentice goes through in order to upload their evidence, and then depending on what they do, how that impacts on what you need to do as an employer mentor in order to sign that evidence off. In the apprentice's learning plan, they have a number of components and they upload evidence to each of those components. So in this instance, we've got the duties from the apprenticeship standard and we're going to upload some evidence to it. Sometimes in the system, Aptem is already pre-mapped with the KSBs that are expected against a particular piece of work. In the terms of these duties and assignment completion or module completion, then they are pre-mapped. OTJs are not pre-mapped and the apprentice maps those as they upload them. So sometimes the apprentice gets a little bit confused about what to map and what not to map, and that does impact on what you see. When an apprentice uploads anything into the system, by clicking into the component, they get this sidebar. They've got an evidence tab and a criteria tab. If there's some criteria in the criteria tab, that's already pre-mapped in the system, and providing that the apprentice doesn't adjust that when they upload evidence, then that will stay the same. However, what they often do when they go to upload evidence is fill in this box, which just provides details of the assignment or the piece of evidence. And at this point, they go to their criteria tab and they begin to change things here. Now that does impact on what you see. So if I leave this screen for a moment and then I come back to your screen, we'll have a look at how that affects what you need to do in the system. In order to access your apprentice's learning plan, as an employer mentor, you will need to use Aptem Classic. So by going onto the icon with your initials, the top right corner, switch to Aptem Classic, it will show you a different view of the system. What we're looking at are the assessments, the outstanding assessments, and the tile that shows outstanding assessments. There are additional tiles on the three dots should outstanding assessments not be there by default. However, it generally is. So we're just going to click outstanding assessments, and I can see both of my learners that I've got, and this learner here. At the right hand side, I can go to their learning plan. I can see that this apprentice has uploaded evidence against duty 1 and duty 2. And when I click into each of these, I'm going to start with duty 2 and work backwards. When I expand these components, I can see the criteria that's already mapped to it. If the apprentice has not changed that mapping, then when I go to assess the piece of work, I can see the criteria they've ticked, and I can look at this gap analysis and see if everything that should be ticked has been ticked. Then I can download the evidence here and I can double check that that's the case. If everything's fine, I can add my feedback. I can accept the evidence and I can confirm it. Now that will disappear from your view, but the academic mentor, the NTU mentor, will be able to see that that evidence has been accepted and will be able to sign off that component. Where it sometimes gets a bit tricky are in instances like this, when we look at the evidence that's mapped to K1 to 6, S1 to 4, and we go to assess it. When I look at the criteria that they've ticked, I can see that for some reason they've removed some criteria and only left K1 and added K7, and likewise on the skills they've removed S1 and S2, left 3 and 4 and added S6. When I look at the gap analysis for this, what this is indicating is that this piece of work here only covers K1, S3 and S4. When I've downloaded the evidence and I've had a look at it, if I feel that it meets other criteria, I can add those. But if it doesn't meet all of the criteria, I can remove criteria and I can reflect that in my feedback. If the piece of evidence or pieces of evidence don't meet all of the criteria in this gap analysis, then you should identify that in your feedback and refer the evidence here. Once you click confirm, that will go back to the apprentice to say that although the evidence might be fine, the referring means that there's not enough evidence to be able to sign off that duty at this particular time. So it's not a reflection on the evidence, it's just a reflection on how much evidence there is. If you feel that that bit of evidence might meet some criteria outside of that required for duty 3 or duty 2 in this instance, then you can add additional criteria as well. Now that won't affect a great deal because you're still looking for this particular piece, for these in the gap analysis to be complete in order for the academic mentor to sign off the component as completed. So if it's not completed, if any bits of these in the gap analysis have ticks or don't have ticks, then refer the evidence, confirm that. That will then be removed from your view. But the apprentice, when they refresh their screen, will be able to see the evidence has been referred or it's been accepted. So if all the criteria are met, accept it. If there's any that are not, adjust it, either take some off, add some on, and refer it if all of the criteria is not met. Once they've added 2 or 3 pieces of evidence that meet all of the criteria, you can accept all of that criteria to complete the component. I hope that provides some guidance and clarity on this issue. Sometimes apprentices get click happy. But thanks for listening and watching. I hope you found it useful.